Yo, what is up? So I've just done my meal prep. I have blocked fair sunlight out. I'm ready to do some jokes, so you better be ready for them. First joke, what's the hardest part about being a prostitute? The penises. Second joke, what do you call a black ninja? A ninja. Third joke, do you ever wake up in the morning and you really need a wee and you're also super thirsty? What's up with that? I like to just sit on the toilet like a girl and, go for a wee while simultaneously drinking a glass of water. Fourth joke, I'm a blood donor because I want to help save lives and save people that are in distress and medical emergencies, that sort of business. But I'm very specific about who I want that blood to be used for. I say to them when I go in to give blood, I don't want my blood to be given to gay people. I don't want my blood to be given to immigrants. And I don't want my blood to be given to trans people. And they say that's not how it works. You just give blood and we give it to whoever needs it. So just either give blood or shut up. Fifth joke, I hate immigrants so much. I've started referring to myself as 74th generation Roman. That way I can look at people who don't refer to themselves as such as dirty immigrants. And I can tell them to go back to where they came from. All right, next joke. I want to talk about shapes. Shapes is a common thing for me to contemplate in a comedy context because let's talk about the first 5 sides of shapes, right? So number 1 out of shapes is the circle, right? The one-sided shape is the circle. A second-sided shape is, there is no second-sided shape. So like, at least with the number 1, you're like, it's a circle, it begins with a C, it starts with an S sound, so you kind of like, it goes round and round, it's got this kind of round and round feel. So I'm happy with circle. I'm kind of confused about there being a no number 2 shape situation. The third one, what's it gonna be, right? It's a triangle. So this is the first time in the shape world where we're getting an indication of what the shape actually is. With triangle, it has 3 angles. So the first one's circle, goes round and round. Second one, there is no second one. Third is triangle. Okay, so we've got 3 angles. We're all on the same page with that. So what's the fourth shape going to be? Surely it's going to be something to do with angles. No, the fourth shape is the square. So this one really, throws the toys out of the pram, throws the baby out with the bathwater, just does the maddest thing imaginable. Square, it doesn't sound like a square, it doesn't sound like a 4-sided shape, it doesn't sound like a 4-angled shape. Like surely it should be called a quad angle or something like that, right? Okay, so then we got the 5th shape. What is the 5th shape going to be? What do you think the 5th shape is going to be? We've got number 1, circle. Number 2, there is no number 2. Number 3, triangle, 3 angles. Number 4, square, just do say whatever you want. What's number 5 going to be? It is a pentagon, right? Where's that come from? It makes absolutely no sense. And then it goes on like that with all the other shapes. So it's just like that pent angle just comes out of nowhere, and it's just like, wait, hold on, pentagon is the fifth shape. So it's like, what are you doing at this point? It is absolute madness, right? Okay, seventh joke. I live in the UK, always have, always will. Best country on the planet. Every other country sucks. Especially America. In the UK, people are a lot more polite than in America. In America, they have drive-by shootings. In the UK, we have drive-by taking issues with others' appearances. I was walking down the road some years ago in a city centre wearing a muscle vest, and someone shouted out of their window, "Put a t-shirt on." I shouted back, "Excuse me, that's not very nice." Eighth joke, I went to see the GP and I told her that I'm feeling really depressed. I'm feeling really, I've got bad anxiety, and I'm thinking about killing myself. She said, "Did you not read the sign in reception that says only to come in with one issue per appointment?" Ninth joke, the cost of living is fun, isn't it? Should have been the cost of living crisis. The cost of living crisis is fun, isn't it? That's the one. You have to cut back on non-essentials. I didn't realise that food was classed as a non-essential. 10th joke, a female, yuck. Gastroenterologist, yuck. Said in this video I saw the other day, you shouldn't sit on a toilet for a long time. And I was like, you're full of shit. Next joke. I'm a big supporter of the hashtag #MeToo movement. Every time I hear someone say, I fancy a cup of tea, I say hashtag #MeToo. Same thing with George Floyd. Very upsetting, the George Floyd murder. Whenever I'm feeling short of breath, I'm a little bit asthmatic, I have a blocked nose, that sort of business, I say hashtag I can't breathe. Yeah, hilarious jokes, all hilarious jokes. Let's go back over them again. So number one, what's the hardest part about being a prostitute? The penises. I think really the hardest part about being a prostitute or a sex worker, as is the civilized nomenclature to refer to people who work in that industry, is probably the pervasive violence. But I think it's, obviously penises, they are hard when sex workers interact with them oftentimes. So that is the hardest part of being a sex worker. What do you call a black ninja? A ninja. I think that one is playing on the, extremely upsetting word that basically only black people are allowed to use. And it's kind of like putting that word into the listener's head and putting them in an awkward position and making them feel like that better not be the punchline. Uh, do you ever wake up in the morning and really need a wee, and also you're really thirsty? It's a common thing for people to go through. And then the idea of sitting on the toilet going for a wee and drinking a glass of water at the same time is like a funny way to deal with that kind of like bodily contradiction of simultaneously having, there's water in your body. Water is occurring in your body in too large an amount, if anything, and simultaneously your body is also craving more water. So it's like, what is your problem? I am a blood donor. I do give blood. I do enjoy it. I do enjoy the feeling of potentially saving lives, saving people from going through, potentially dying, and like people who are having operations, people who are going through childbirth, who may need blood, and me being a source of that blood. And then the idea of like only wanting it to go to certain people is, I feel like I got that from the Jim Caviezel thing of like, when he was on the set of Person of Interest, he would take exception to certain storylines, like if they involved him saving gay people, he'd be like, that is immoral, so I don't want to do that. So it's like not giving blood because if the person it's going to is an immoral person is like psychotic and you're out of your mind. Hating immigrants, there's a lot of immigrant hatred at the moment. It feels like in the UK press and the UK government are kind of joined hands in this effort to make immigrants seem like rats, and there's like an influx and we need to stop it, send them over to Rwanda, get rid of a lot of them because they're like not from here, so how dare they come here? It's pretty sick. I'm being like a 74th generation Roman. It's that kind of feeling like, okay, the Romans were here before, the Anglo-Saxons, before the Vikings, before the Normans. Like, there's all the people that have come subsequently. The Romans take precedence, right? Surely that makes sense. The whole idea of people moving around has been a normal thing for humans for many thousands of years. Humans have only been around for like a couple 100,000 years. We've all been moving around. We've all been nomadic people for much of that. So the idea that if you're in the UK now, if you've been in the UK now for like, a couple 100 years, if your family has ancestry going back a couple of years, somehow that makes you feel like you own the UK, and anyone that comes in hasn't been paying their taxes. They're not part of the system. They're not part of our beautiful societies. How dare they come in and take our jobs and, infect us with their foreign ways. The shape situation is something that I do think about sometimes. I feel like shapes, it is weird that it goes in the way that it does. Like, because obviously from pentagon, it goes from that to every other shape is like an agon situation. So I kind of felt like it is a funny thing to talk about shapes. Like, why don't they all go like that from the start? Like, why isn't the fourth one a quadagon, maybe? And why isn't the third one a triagon? And I'm aware there are technically two-sided shapes, but they're kind of like weird shapes and I don't like them, and they're not really taught in school like as normal shapes. So there being no number two, there being no two-sided shape in the normal way that people talk about shapes is also peculiar. I live in the UK, best country in the world. Every other country sucks. Especially America. America is a skid mark on the underpants of global geopolitics. I think we can all agree. I think it's interesting that the UK doesn't have drive-by shootings and America does. And I wonder if there could be any link to sort of gun crime with the fact that guns aren't illegal in America. Something to think about. I went to the GP and told her I'm feeling depressed, I'm feeling anxious, I want to kill myself. There are signs in GP's reception saying, remember to only bring up one issue per appointment. So I thought it'd be funny to talk about things that are very serious in an appointment scenario and for the GP to turn around and say you're only allowed to bring up one thing per appointment. The cost of living crisis. Cost of living crisis is a funny term because it's like the cost of living, the cost of being alive is a problem at the moment. So it's like, what is that about? And there's a lot of talk, a lot of discussion about like cutting back on non-essentials, not spending money frivolously. The classic thing is avocado on toast. Don't eat avocado on toast. It's like, it's not the most expensive thing in the world. It's not like caviar. If people with loads of money were saying like poor people are idiots because they're spending all their money on caviar, it would be like, okay, you've got a point there. If they were like doing that, but they're not. I feel like if anything, poor people are spending money frugally and they go into food banks and they're struggling to get by. So it's kind of bizarre to be like, you need to tighten your belt. It's kind of sickening. I did see a video the other day of a female gastroenterologist talking about you shouldn't sit on the toilet too long. I sometimes sit on the toilet way too long, my legs go to sleep. It is a problem, but you know, she shouldn't be spying on me. She shouldn't be, you know, being a grass and telling the world what men get up to, because it's always men that are sitting on the toilet for too long and they need to stop it, right? I'm a big supporter of the hashtag Me Too movement. I am actually. I do think it's a very upsetting situation when that all came out and people were coming forward with their stories of being sexually assaulted and you know, all the rest of it. It was extremely upsetting. The idea of saying hashtag Me Too to a like someone saying they want a cup of tea, I felt like it was funny. And the same thing with like the George Floyd murder, like I can't breathe. It's sort of hilarious to joke about that in a kind of sick way. Yeah, I think like the whole I can't breathe, like Black Lives Matter movement really opened a lot of people's eyes to it. It also made a lot of people come out of the woodwork as massive racists. And I think myself, like seeing the Ahmaud Arbery murder was like one of the most upsetting things because I could put myself in his shoes most easily because I enjoy going for runs. I enjoy breaking rules, going into areas that I shouldn't be. And like, I think he went into like a place where like a construction site when he was going for a run and a bunch of hillbillies saw him and they went out and lynched him and like shot him to death. Just for being in their neighborhood essentially, and it was pretty disgusting, and I kind of felt like I could see myself doing that, and I'm lucky that I'm not in America and I'm not black, and it's like I can get away with breaking rules and going on runs and going into places that I shouldn't be and not getting lynched and not getting shot to death. It's kind of like it's a mad world. Anyway, I better go. I hope you found some of those jokes funny. I messed up some of them, but I'm not perfect, and this is all done in one take. And I'm a bit sweaty and all the rest of it because I'm a human and I am never going to be perfect and I can only do my best. So anyway, you take care. Peace.